Not too sure how a porn parody would do for this review, so for the remainder of the review, I'm just going to be going bottomless. A24 has blessed us with yet another fresh original take onto the slasher horror movie genre, as does A24 does at 90% of the time. From the very first A24 movie I saw, they've just always, if not a majority of the time, delivered such fresh approaches to oversaturated genres. They've always thoroughly entertained me and have thoroughly inspired me when it comes to the industry as a whole. I owe a lot of my inspiration to that studio for sure, so it's always a joy to see every single piece that they can deliver. And I'm happy to say that they have not disappointed me just yet. X. Quick synopsis of the movie. It is rural Texas in the late 70s, and a group of promiscuous young adults set out to make a porno. So they go ahead and get permission to film on a creepy old couple's farm property, but they do not let them know that they are indeed filming a porno. So upon them sneaking around the barn to film their own porno, the old couple finds out, and in typical slasher movie fashion, they certainly display some creepy attributions and some creepy characteristics. Of course, we'll go full on just slasher fanatic by the end. So now it is up to these characters to try and escape this farm and trying to contact help while they are being hunted down by this creepy couple. In a market where porn and slasher movies pay homages to each other nonstop, especially since the original pioneers of the slasher horror franchise, such as the original Halloween, the original Friday the 13th, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they've all incorporated the idea of just incorporating sex into their movies. Sex sells, you could say. Now, but as for the MPAA system that has always been present in these movies, I believe the line that would cross an R rating would indeed make it porn would have to be actually showing genital on genital interaction on screen. When in the meantime, what we get here is certainly rated R material content when it comes to nudity, and just because this movie centers around the idea of a bunch of people making porn does not mean that you are going to be seeing explicit exact stuff that you would see on an actual porno on the internet. So many iterations of this genre, we've always seen just late teens to early adults looking to screw in deserted areas with no supervision, and of course an imminent threat looming over them waiting for the right moment to strike. You've seen this formula done so many times before, but it's also not that surprising that A24 of all studios can make this formula actually refreshing. The variety in cast members pokes so much fun and levity in what the audience expect from a young cast who are just going to be picked off and killed off one by one. Of all the classic slasher horrors, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the most apparent influence to me here. So many setups, so many shots, so many shot compositions, so many production sets. They certainly just reminded me out of something from the original Texas Chainsaw. The language and style of the late 70s just shines through in the wardrobe and performances. The integration of filmmakers making a porno was just hilarious to me. To those that are uncomfortable watching these sort of actions displayed in a movie, I could certainly understand the idea of getting uncomfortable when you aren't expecting it, but the whole tagline and the whole pitch of this movie's story is that these people are going out to make a porno, so it's not like it's just like in your face and biting you on it. And it's certainly not as awkward as per se somebody who sees it with their mother or their girlfriend. To make matters better, I saw this movie with both of them. So seeing those scenes displayed was certainly a real hilariously surprising treat, for sure. I'm always a sucker when a movie script integrates characters in the movie making a movie, whether it be documentaries, mockumentaries, or even just straight up some sort of narrative piece within the movie. When we're seeing behind the scenes action of a movie set, I could watch that sort of stuff forever. It is so entertaining for me to watch, and it is just so much fun. But in the terms of pornos, the biggest influence that I can recall is from Paul Thomas Anderson's Boogie Nights, where we got to see some real bizarre action take place and get our fictional characters' reactions to what we, the audience, are seeing as well displayed. Who knew that it can make for some real uncomfortable / bizarre / just craziness, just pure chaotic craziness that we are just so not used to seeing to this level. The soundtrack of licensed rock songs from this era certainly immerses you in the time. As for the original score, it sounds like something I have never heard before when it comes to slasher movies as a whole, or even movies as a whole. It's very unique. What it does, or at least what I recall hearing in the theaters, was ambience with a mix of what sounded like moans. I guess to fit the line of what the movie's story is about, it doesn't sound like haunting or spooky moans. It sounds like moans you would hear from a porno. Pleasurable moans. And it was so weird. I was sitting there like, oh my god, I've never heard this before. This is so bizarre. This is different. Can you go wrong with weird and different? How A24 to go so weird and different? The makeup design certainly was questionable at times for me. It was uncertain whether the makeup design for the old couple in particular was intentionally made to look uncanny and a little distorted, or if there were actual restrictions or limitations with the makeup team. Therefore, the result is just seeing this old creepy couple a majority of the time looming in darkness or in dark shadows or just dark areas in their house. Whether they are silhouetted a bunch or whether we are seeing them just in dark corners or just in dimly lit rooms with low-key lighting. Either way, this old couple, both of them certainly had some very creepy and disturbing moments and were certainly the highlights of this movie. Both in the script and these performers who were very clearly middle-aged talent. It was pretty clear that they were middle-aged actors with the amount of stunt work that had to be done with their characters. Even in the line deliveries, you can tell that they are younger, but that doesn't mean that they were any less creepy or disturbing. Through some very slow burn pacing and some very slow burn blocking on set, as well as just some real disturbing and at times even pretty funny and poking fun at the genre dialogue, but still, in their lines and actions, they just delivered a very creepy performance together as a whole. The gore displayed, though, is what we are all here to see with this genre. It's what we know is going to be coming. It's what is inevitable. Oh boy, did the over-the-top gore certainly deliver here. So much blood, so many butt-clenching moments that'll make you just wince and tighten up in the theater, in the brutality of the set pieces and the makeup prosthetics. Just like every other slasher in this genre, you expect every main character that is introduced, especially every supporting character, to just be killed off one by one until there is ultimately one survivor left that gets away. After the confirmation in the post-credits where there's going to be a prequel for this movie, I still personally feel like the last surviving member should have been a different cast member here. I personally didn't feel, of all the characters, why the one remainder survivor character had to be the one to get away. I personally felt like it should have been Jenna Ortega's character because, for one, she had the most development change. So of all the other characters that were going to this porn shoot, she was certainly the most inclusive one, and by the end of it, her character certainly opened up more. Therefore, I saw her as the main protagonist for a majority of the movie's runtime. So it was pretty surprising seeing that she was the last one to get killed off. Like, nothing against the actress or the character that was surviving here. She certainly put on a good show, but I just personally, maybe I'm just a simp for Jenna Ortega right now, because everything that she has been in so far in recent years, I have thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing more from her. She has so much potential. Either way, the overall theme of expressing one's sexuality while they are young, it even touches on the definition for older generations on how one's sexuality eventually just leaves when we get too old. So enjoy it now while we can, while we're still young. Pretty prevalent to everybody, perhaps, I would say. It even touches on what the definition of what love is to porn workers. And that was a surprising little aspect that I never thought of before. I found it to be refreshing for sure. The whole cast did great for what they were given. Even the cast members who didn't get as much screen time, they certainly served their duty when it came to their one-note character. It was pretty clear that they were meant to be sort of a stale surface layer character that was just used to anticipate and just want us to see how they would get killed off in a ridiculous fashion. Overall, it was just entirely refreshing, and I never knew that I was going to enjoy it this much, because considering I didn't even really know that this movie was coming out, I'm glad I got to see it with my mom and girlfriend of all people. Yay! 7 out of 10. Gory fun in a genre I didn't think I could still enjoy. Those considering to film their own pornos, hydrate and be safe.